bounded when he saw that it was a small torn piece of a lace and muslin. He placed it in the palm of his left hand and examined it closely under the light of his torch. To him it looked to be part of a fashionable lady's dainty handkerchief. He was elated at his discovery, and he wondered how Inspector Chippenfield had overlooked it. Then the explanation struck him. The small piece of lace and muslin had been effectually hidden in the dead man's clenched hand, and his efforts to open the hand had loosened it. "Well, Rolfe," said Inspector Chippenfield when his subordinate reappeared, "you've been long enough to have unearthed the criminal or revived the corpse. Have you discovered anything fresh?" "Only this," replied Rolfe, displaying the piece of handkerchief. The find startled Inspector Chippenfield out of his air of bantering superiority. Where did you get that?" he stammered as he reached out eagerly for it. "The dead man had it clenched in his right hand. I wondered if he had anything hidden in his hand when I saw it so tightly clenched. I tried to force open the fingers and that fell out." Inspector Chippenfield was by no means pleased at his subordinate's discovery of what promised to be an important clue, especially after the clue had been missed by himself. But he congratulated Rolfe in a tone of fictitious heartiness. "Well done, Rolfe," he exclaimed. "You are coming on. Anyone can see you've the makings of a good detective." Rolfe could afford to ignore the sting contained in such faint praise. "What do you make of it?" he asked. "Looks as though there is a woman in it," said the inspector, who was still examining the scrap of lace and muslin. "There can't be much doubt about that," replied Rolfe. "We mustn't be in a hurry in jumping to conclusions," remarked the inspector. "No, and we mustn't ignore obvious facts," said Rolfe. "You think a woman murdered him?" asked the inspector. "I think a woman was present when he was shot. Whether she fired the shot there is nothing to show at present. There may have been a man with her, but there was a struggle just before the shot was fired, and as Sir Horace fell he grasped at the hand in which she was holding her handkerchief, or perhaps her handkerchief was torn in his dying struggles when she was leaning over him." "You have overlooked the possibility of this having been placed in the dying man's hand to deceive us," said the inspector. "If the intention was to mislead us it wouldn't have been placed where it might have been overlooked." As the inspector had overlooked the presence of the scrap of handkerchief in the dead man's hand, he felt that he was not making much progress with the work of keeping his subordinate in his place. "Well, it is a clue of a sort," he said. "The trouble is that we have too many clues. I wish we knew which is the right one. Anyway, it knocks over your theory of a burglary," he added in a tone of satisfaction. "Yes," Rolfe admitted, "that goes by the board." End of chapter 4 of the Hampstead mystery by John Watson and Arthur Rees. Read by Lars Rolander.